The Annual World Convention is hosted by the ACA World Service Organisation, and it was made possible by the dedication and energy of ACA members from around the world giving service. The theme was Connections. The following recording is one of the 18 presentations made by and for members of Adult Children of Alcoholics Fellowship at the 8th Annual ACA World Convention held virtually on November 17 and 18, 2023. Please visit the adultchildren.org website for more information about ACA, for worldwide ACA meeting listings, to make a 7th tradition contribution, or to volunteer for service. We hope you enjoy the following presentation from the 8th Annual World Convention.
Higher God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. Thank you, everyone. Please mute yourselves. What readings are we doing today, Chandra, now? We can choose, right?
We've done the laundry list problem, so this time around we can read the other laundry list and the ACA 12 steps.
Okay, sure. Thank you. The other laundry list. To cover our fear of people and our dread of isolation, we tragically become the very authority figures who frighten others and cause them to withdraw. 2. To avoid becoming enmeshed and entangled with other people and losing ourselves in the process, we become rigidly self-sufficient. We disdain the approval of others. 3. We frighten people with our anger and threat of belittling criticism. 4. We dominate others and abandon them. We dominate others and abandon them before they can abandon us. Or we avoid relationships with dependent people altogether. To avoid being hurt, we isolate and dissociate and thereby abandon ourselves. 5. We live life from the standpoint of a victimizer and are attracted to people we can manipulate and control in our important relationships. 6. We are irresponsible and self-centered. Our inflated sense of self-worth and self-importance prevents us from seeing our deficiencies and shortcomings. 7. We make others feel guilty when they attempt to assert themselves. 8. We inhibit our fear by staying deadened and numb. 9. We hate people who play the victim and beg to be rescued. 10. We deny that we've been hurt and are suppressing our emotions by the dramatic expression of pseudo-feelings. 11. To protect ourselves from self-punishment for failing to save the family, we project our self-hate onto others and punish them instead. 12. We manage the massive amount of deprivation we feel coming from abandonment within the home by quickly letting go of relationships that threaten our independence, not too close. 13. We refuse to admit we've been affected by family dysfunction, or that there was dysfunction in the home, or that we have internalized any of the family's destructive attitudes and behaviors. Last, we act as if we are nothing like the dependent people who raised us. The 12 steps. Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over the effects of alcoholism or other family dysfunction, that our lives had become unmanageable, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. Were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. As we understand God, praying only for God, knowledge of God's will for us, and the power to carry it out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others who still suffer and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Thank you, Danish.
Thank you.
So we will move on to today's session. We are going to be presenting a small brief about how poverty is connected with family dysfunction. And we are also going to talk about ACA recovery, which is directly a function of available literature. My name is Sham. I'm an adult child, and I'm your host for this session. I will be joined by Subhash, Vijay, Vaishnavi, and Raksha in a little while, and they will also share along with me. Indian ACA, rather ACA in India has been there for, I'm told, about 15 odd years. But in terms of really connecting with each other, that has happened a lot more in the last 3 years. Since formation of an intergroup, and this is one of the blessings from COVID, which if one can call it a blessing, we were able to connect. Just 2.5 years back, we were 3 groups having online meetings, maybe 3 days in a week. And today we are about 4 groups, and we have 17 meetings held in 3 different languages through the week. We have all the 5 literatures which are covered over here. And in each of the meetings is dedicated to one book or the other. One of the reasons why we chose to speak about this particular topic is we found that a lot of people have ideas about the third world countries which don't quite match with reality, but at the same time, it's very relevant to actually providing equity or understanding equity in terms of ACA to really know where the countries stand. And when I was reading the literature, I found that there was one thing which was missing about how I related to ACA, and that was the dearth of resources at certain points of time. It was not exactly poverty, but it was how the resources could be taken away, and how there are, through those studies and through those reflections, I discovered that there is a huge population where addiction is prevalent, but they are really, really poor. Many cases, people are below poverty line as defined by various organizations. And the interesting bit about that was that addiction and dysfunctional behaviors do not stop because of lack of money. In fact, lack of money and resources gives rise to and perpetuates those dysfunctions. In fact, in many of the poorer households where alcohol is unaffordable, I find that people are willing to ferment their grain quota for the day, and they ferment it over a couple of days so that they can create a local version of alcohol. Or they are willing to smoke weed, unprocessed weed, or something else which is locally called kap or kiri or whatever, so they can roll it up into a sleeve and smoke it like a cigarette. So lack of money did not prevent poverty, did not prevent addiction, but the same things which we see in homes with resources is also being perpetuated there, and there is no breakage in that cycle. So we're not here to talk about abject poverty, and I'd like to share a few slides where I thought I wanted to convey what is it that we're really here to talk about today. These particular slides are reflective of my sharing and not of the group as a whole. So we'll just bear that in mind. One moment. So one of the things which I learned about poverty was that there are actually studies done on poverty which help me to clarify my thoughts. I'm sorry, but I'm not able to find the correct screen to share. Please give me a moment while I do that. Yeah, that's the one. So the studies show that, there are kinds of poverties which are like urban, rural, or absolute, where there is no money, no food, no healthcare. And that do absolutely exist in the world and in our country. But what we are here to talk about is situational poverty, which is created by loss of job, either of the primary caregivers or personally later on in life, loss of family, loss of support, relative poverty, which is how this topic was born when we discovered that a lot of us collectively were feeling that we had to match up with how the society was, or the society made us feel poor, or our own family members made us feel poor about what we have or don't have. And the generational poverty, where people get trapped into situations which they are not able to move out of because they have loans. And there used to be a system in the colonial times, which was called bondage, where a family or a family member was bonded into labor and to repay sort of a loan that they had taken. And that mentality of being a bonded labor till the loan was worked out or it was completely recovered, and that bondage continued from one family member to the other. And that has also left a collective memory of being indebted to those who provide care for us. In my particular case, there has always been rebellion. And I discovered that goes back to my father's colonial roots. He was born into a farmer who served the colonizers in India. And he was made to serve as a soldier. And my father went into military following his father. And when it came to my turn, the army wouldn't accept women at that particular time. But I have a lot of aggression which comes from having to deal with war and war stories and war being glorified, and being made to feel that we are indebted to those who provide for us in order and protect them. Those are some of the very complex feelings which arise in me because of how I was raised. I hope the next slide is visible. Yeah. So the poverty I experienced differed at times. There was a time when my father was deprived of his rank because of his drinking, and he had sold off most of his lands, which are inherited, or rather were inherited in India from a male to another male heir. Women were not recognized till 1963 as actual heirs of the property, of ancestral property. And so in order to be able to capitalize on his share of the property, my father actually converted it to cash, and then he blew it all away in his addiction. He had no control over it. That's something which I realize now, but it was very hurtful at that point. This led to a lot of material safety being taken away from me as compared to my sisters who were 8 years older than I had to experience a lot of material deprivation. There was also social poverty. My father was not accepted in social circles, and he was shunned by many of his own peers in the army. And because of that, as a direct result of that, I experienced a lot of social exclusion. I have experienced unemployment and a consistent feeling, even though I had a very healthy bank balance, I had a consistent feeling of not having enough. And therefore, I would I would not indulge myself in anything which was firsthand, because I had been handed down a lot of clothes from my elder sisters, because I was made to feel to be grateful to people who provided for me. I would accept secondhand things, and it became a habit to buy secondhand things. And a lot of furniture in my house till date is secondhand. I do not have a direct choice in being able to choose something original, because I really don't know what would suit me. And that is a result of the way I was brought up. And what happened is every time these are taken individually, these are very small things, and they were periodic or temporal in nature. But over a period of time, it has magnified to the extent that it reduces my opportunities. I'm not able to relate to the outside world on their terms. And it's only lately that I have come across the term neurodivergence and I understand that I think differently from other people. And that really limits my choices of what I can and cannot do, driven by my inner drug pharmacy. And what it does for me is that it undermines hope. I try and be hopeful. I try and practice the program, but something pulls me back. And as a direct result of all of these things, I'm under constant threat physically and mentally. I'm at a stage of recovery, being 3 years in ACA now. I'm in a stage of recovery where I'm actually starting to feel my feelings and connect it to what I'm feeling in the body. And my body actually protests a lot. It feels very heavy. I am trying also to convey an awareness of where I am, and I use Maslow's hierarchy of needs to understand my own situation in recovery. And my physiological needs are fulfilled right now, but my safety and my needs of belongingness and love are something which are severely compromised, not because there's nobody there to provide it for me. I have friends, I have family, but of my own innate disability in being able to accept the love. And my body image remains very, very poor. Till 3 years back, despite being sober from another addiction for 7 years, I did not recognize my own universal needs or things that I deserve to have simply because I'm a human being. It has taken a lot of work through the ACA program, as well as understanding the Bill of Rights, that I deserve to be spoken to kindly, that I deserve to a right to education, or a right to property, or to just enjoy myself for no rhyme or reason. That awareness has come from the Bill of Rights and working the ACA program. I have to also say that whilst sexual abuse is not, it's prevalent in every segment of the society, poverty leads to more exploitation, and it leads to earlier exploitation in life. This is not just a personal experience, but it is testimonial of many people that I speak to in the fellowship as a part of the recovery program, or those who are willing to step forward and talk about what is going on with them. And this is a learning that I had, that I am not alone in being sexually abused as a young child. I'm not the first one, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be the last. But there is hope, that there is awareness, and we recognize, and poverty does lead to early exploitation. Also, lack of proper nurturance or particular foods or deprivation emotionally during certain stages of life leads to early development of the body as well. So whereas in a healthy, safe environment, one would mature physically at a normative point of time, 10, 12 years or 13 years, because of the threat of survival, people are starting to mature early. And certainly in my case, I had very, very early adolescence, and I attained uh, uh, early menses, and that really destroyed my childhood because imagine being 8 or 9 years old and having to look at things which were really adult or grown up in nature for me at that point of time. And the effects of these incidents, although they were very small in nature at that point of time, they are being felt exponentially by me now. They are not. I don't feel the need. I don't feel it in bits and pieces. It just hits me like like a whole mountain of rocks. And so this is what my body image is like today, of a very huge person who's really weighed down. And I find it very difficult to handle things on my own, despite being in recovery and having good companionship, good recovery landmarks for myself. And I'm doing very well, but this is the body image that comes over me at times when I'm feeling hopeless and a lot of despair. My body memories are very powerful, and they can be extremely debilitating. I recognize that also my inner drug pharmacy is extremely active during this period of time. And through the program, I'm slowly understanding my own stinking thinking, how I'm always attracted to the negative, because that is what feeds the inner drug pharmacy. There are certain behavior patterns which I'm working on, and I understand that solution is not more money or more of anything. The solution is in my own thinking. And again, I fall back on the Maslow's hierarchy of index of needs to understand how the step work is helping me. Steps 1 and 2 really gave me the hope and the courage that I'm not alone in all of this and that I can recover. Steps 3, 4, and 5 help me feel secure, because knowing that a higher power is in charge makes me feel safe. It gives me stability. It gives me the protection that I need in order to be able to work the rest of my steps. And through working steps 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm mending my relationship with the society at large, with myself, understanding my own limitations and forgiving myself and others for the hardships that I've had, and understanding that I can overcome all of those. And then the steps 10, 11, and 12, which really help me to recover my dignity and keep a constant contact with the God of my understanding. I hope that will lead to more self-actualization. That was my sharing about how I understand poverty in various different terms. Thank you for listening to me. I would like to now invite we had a bit of a crisis and I've forgotten the order in which we were going to share. So I would like to invite Subhash to share first. Subhash, you have 10 minutes.
Yeah, my little child, my name is Subhash. I'm sorry, I thought I'm the fourth one, but I'm the first one, I don't know. Anyway, I'm really grateful for ACA. Of course, before coming in a ACA, I don't know what is wrong with me. I belong from India. I started ACA journey 8 years before. That time in India, there is one group. We are 7, 8, 10 members are there. Small group. And my life is, my dad was alcoholic, and At time, because topic is about this today. So then my dad was alcoholic and he's working in a government organizations. That time, the government job is very comfortable job in India, especially. Hindustan is a very comfortable job. But because of alcoholism, I was studying in a government school. The fees is 2 rupees 10 paisa only. And government job hote हुए भी, my dad is not able to pay the fees. And my books, I don't have money to buy a book also. I don't have money to go on outside also. So in childhood, say my memory is like that. I need a money. Plus one more thing. Even today also, I feel ashamed of myself. I am in a capital in India, and I born and brought up in here. I'm staying in a rented house. I don't have my own home. Why? Because my dad lost all. He sold his property. He sold my mom properties, and rest of the things. I become an alcoholic. Then I started drinking, and then rest of the thing I. And when I reached an ACA, when I was growing, my aim is only the one thing. I want to earn money. I was working hard to. I'm working hard to meet my expenses, and I learn now. I identify when I join an ACA. I identify that my basic need is never met when I was kid. My basic need is school uniform, books, food. Even most of the time we don't have food in house also. Even sometimes there is a food in kitchen hours, but dad come drunk. He's fighting with my mom. We are not having food also. My basic need is also not met. And I learn it ACA when I become an adult and I start earning money. That time also, when I reach in my goal, something happened and I miss my goal. I skip my goal. मेरा वो भूल छूट जाता था मुझसे वो goal. That's called self sabotage. I learned that here is a word that's called self sabotage. I am this type of facility कि मुझे अपने गोल पे ही रीच नहीं करना, उससे पहले ही मुझे स्टेप डाउन कर ले. I started earning when I was 14. I didn't complete my schooling also. For me, it's very difficult to survive because thanks to my alcoholism, though give me intelligence, so I somehow, that's especially the 14 trait, my survival trait, I developed this 14 trait. I become an approval seeker. I started gaining some things. I become a people pleaser. I was always with others people, and my all friends are, but my friendship is all. I always make a friend जो मुझसे ज़्यादा higher, जिनके सामने my identity छुप जाए. So I can say कि you know that guy, he is my friend. He is my friend. Why? Because I feel ashamed of my identity. When I was kid, nobody coming in my home. When I was kid, my tiffin box में there's no good food. I feel so ashamed, shame inside me. And I just making a friend because of this 14 trait. I developed with a 14 trait. I started my journey in different journey, and I become an alcoholic. Then I came in a recovery. 14 years in others program. I found ACA found me, not I found ACA. ACA found me. I was attending some other convention, and some ACA speaker was sharing his experience, strength, and hope. Immediately, I can relate this 14 traits. And when I reach in an ACA meeting, that time my denial break. That time I feel कि why I am too hungry to money. Why I am hungry to food? Because मुझे कभी मिला ही नहीं बचपन से. And because of this, मेरे अंदर in my side there is lots of things I can do it. Even my body shaming is so much body shaming because everybody is comparing this, that. So my body shaming is that if I am showing some project to my client, मेरा पूरा का पूरा फोकस होता था हाउ आई एम स्टैंडिंग, हाउ आई एम ड्रेसिंग, हाउ आई एम बिहेविंग, नॉट दैट हाउ व्हाट आई एम डिलीवरिंग, व्हाट इज माय वर्क, बिकॉज आई डिडंट स्टडी, आई डिडंट सी कि घर में कैसे वो करते हैं, कि भैया होमवर्क कैसे होता है बचपन में, एंड वेयर आई बिलोंग. Sometimes we are staying in a rent on this place because my dad sold all properties. Sometimes we are renting on this place. Sometimes we'll this place. So where I belong. So I have seen that, or because of lack of money. Now I was just seeing this slide. So I was remembering one day somebody sexually abused me also because I need that time money. I don't know. I thought that the money is the survival things. If I want to save myself, I need a money. That's it. This type of mindset I came in this adulthood, and till when I joined a ACA, tab tak I was in major shit. Even the other fellowship, I was recovered in 6 years. I was planning to commit suicide. 6 years in others fellowship. I don't know what is going in my side in my head. I found this all answers in ACA. Especially when I read the 14 trade, when I and of course then something happened. That's COVID happened. That time the fellowship is was small, and we don't have any literature much. Also, we are 10, 15 members. Somebody has a big book, so we can take the books and we read this. We don't have much fellowship also now after COVID, and we are starting some Hindi meeting also. I again connected to ACA. And now today's I can say the ACA give me so much recovery. I'm becoming an author. I'm working a good life. I'm living a good life. I don't compare now myself to others. Otherwise, my whole life is going in a days. The age of 14, I start working until now. I don't have bank balance. I don't have money. I don't have this. I don't have food. Even that's why when I go in a restaurant and my partner, my girlfriend says, "What you like to have food?" I always say, "Whatever you like, baby." I no problem. I am always okay because I learned in childhood कि जो है उसी में रहो बस. But deep down inside, I want this also, this type food also. This is me, and thanks to this program, thanks to these steps, and I learned this new concept in reparenting my ourselves. First, till now today, whatever did happen, I am just carrying my dad's character. But because of ACA, I am identifying now. If I'm going in and out, if I'm spending a money, if I'm borrowing a money somewhere, if I'm taking a loan, car loan, anything, so I know where it's coming from because I see my dad. Even that time, the government job is one of the secure thing in this India. Now, the private is okay, but that time I was born in a 72. I'm 50 now, 51 now. That time, and that time also we are facing things. So I am really grateful. I got a chance to part of this ECA journey. I did my stuff work with my fellow traveler. I work on my shame-based identity. मेरे साथ तो ये भी था because when I was in a working, तो मुझे अपने पैसे मांगने में शर्म आती थी मेरे clients से. It's my money. I'm working and I am feeling ashamed to ask my own money. This type of relationship with money is my, and मेरे को अपने आप के साथ बात करने में शर्म आती थी because the major now today I identify that because the sexual abuse is right now till in my head. I need to heal this PTSD, of course, because whenever I go for a money, so my mind is always remembering this. So I'm really grateful. I think my time is also over, and I'm really grateful. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Subhash. May I invite Vijay to share now? Subhash, please hang around the room because we'll be sharing later again about literature. So thank you for this sharing. And right now I invite Vijay to please come forward and share.
Yeah, this is Vijay, grateful ACA, an adult child. Thank you for your service, all volunteers at this convention. Just a few days back, I had this phone call and I got this news that my cousin is dead. My first cousin is dead. So I hurried to that place and everyone had, they were talking in hushed tones. Outside there was this board, it was written there that the cousin had died of a brief illness. But everybody knew there, and they were talking among themselves, that he drank himself to death. Everyone around agreed it was alcoholism which killed him. But I know better because I had the same stressors that he has had when he was alive. It was generational poverty which is at the root of his problems as well as mine. Our families have been poor for generations. We have been dirt poor. Earlier in that slide, we were explained, no, absolute poverty. So we have been dirt poor for generations. So alcoholism was one of the effect for my cousins. For other cousins, other siblings, we have other problems. We can run through the whole list of things that a person could go through. So generational poverty was the cause, and it is considered the hardest kind of poverty to overcome. My cousin's death shook me because, like him, I too suffered from the effects of cyclical effects of generational poverty. I had identical stressors, and there is still a residual effect of poverty on my life in my present. You know how this poverty affected me, like how it has affected my brain, how it gave the message to me when I was less than 10 years of age, that this world is a dangerous place. So one of the first things, like I said about my grandparents were farm laborers. Some sold vegetable, some were jobless, sitting at home, some were addicts. So all those things. So poverty pushed my parents from a rural area to an urban area. They didn't come willingly. They were uprooted from that rural culture that they were so accustomed to. But what happened was, when they came to the city, they exchanged rural poverty to urban poverty. We all lived in an overcrowded house, which was about 100 square feet, and we were around 6 of us. Sanitation was a problem because our home was just next to a public toilet. And safety was also a big issue. We lived in a crime-infested neighborhood. In my childhood, I have seen soda water bottle fights. It is gangster land. No, it's like the top gangsters are from around that locality in which I grew. So we had addicts sitting in the playgrounds. So considering this fact that, and my mother had married early, she was a teen mom, and she had 2 children while she was in her teens. So they adopted a controlling parenting style, with what we call helicopter parenting. So we children, in order to keep us safe, we grew up in a golden cage. And as we know, when you grow up in captivity, a complex set of varying stressors develop, and out of which has resulted in my present CPTSD. You take a young, healthy person and you put him in jail for a few years. He could be mentally healthy before he goes into jail. But when he lives in a jail for a long time, he develops complex PTSD. So what happens when you grow up in a jail? No? So we experienced, because we were isolated, my siblings, we experienced a highly deprived and isolated life at a very tender age. We had no role models. There was no television and no books because my parents believed that academic success was very important, and we all these are just distractions. Another thing was like the chronic stress, which was a part of our lives. The sense of being excluded, a sense of being ashamed. No, a lot of doors are closed when you don't have money. So this repeated exposure to the stress led to a certain kind of passiveness, even learned helplessness. Then I noticed that like there is a certain hyper vigilance in me. No, so it's like I'm constantly watching. I'm watching other people because I grew up in that small home where I was constantly surveyed by other people. I was under constant surveillance. Another thing I noticed about myself is my capacity to do goal directed behavior and to regulate my thoughts and behavior to make them consistent with goals is kind of limited. So this is something I had to really work on. Another effect was my language skills were extremely poor. Like whatever I speak today, it's something that I have made amends to myself much later in life. And of course, there was a lot of exposure to things like pollutants and like we live in a textile mill area, so there were a lot of textile threads in the in the air. So I had this respiratory problems when I was a kid. So these are the many multitude of impacts which were there a part of my brain. So as I grew up, like in my later teens, like we changed localities, we went into a better locality. But like the psychologist will tell you that it's the first 10 years of life which matter, and the effects of those first 10 years of life, the impact is much more than what happens later on. So it's like, but one thing was there, like in my teens itself, I realized that something was wrong. There's something, I'm very different from the rest of the kids. I'm suffering, I have anxiety, I have depression. I couldn't even name these feelings properly at that time. But then secretly I started reading books and I started my a little bit of recovery journey or whatever I could on my own. So I'll now straight away come to what helps me, what has helped me when I joined this fellowship. Like one thing I like about this fellowship is you can choose the higher power of your understanding. So in my case, I chose the higher power of what we call Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of prosperity, goddess of wealth, goddess of direction. Laksha means direction, teaching yourself to be directed. No? Now, Lakshmi has an elder sister who's called Alakshmi, which is lack of direction, poverty. She likes conflict, just like a laundry list traits. Like first, when you're born and you don't know how to live in this world, one would have laundry list traits. So we are visited by the elder sister first, which is known as Jeshtha or Alakshmi. Another name is Akirti. And several names are there. So these are the two. So these are the two things, no. So I don't have to like disrespect the elder sister. I have to acknowledge that the elder sister has helped me to survive. But now it's time to move on. It's like I have to put in more effort and take my life in a more auspicious and good direction. So having chosen this higher power, I started working on my 12 steps. So these are the so the first 2-3 steps, I have chosen the higher power, I've surrendered myself to them. Then the next steps from 4 to 9, it's like I do what is known as tapas. Egg, when an egg comes out, the egg is just the biological birth. But the real birth, the incubation happens later. So the incubation is with the help of my higher power. So the higher power helps me to break through to have a rebirth of sorts. So that is what the first 3 steps urge me to do. Then the tapas, the incubation takes place, the burning of impurities takes place. That happens in the first 4 to 9 steps. Then in the 10th step, I do a swadhyay. I examine myself. I heal how I live today. I heal my relation to myself. Then I go on to step 11, where I do Ishvara Pranidhan, where I sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God. So this is to heal my relationship with God. And the last step, I come to do the last step. In the last step, like we in yoga, we were taught that we have this different words describing uh, uh, our relationship with others. Our relationship with others has to be with loving kindness. It has to be with compassion. It has to be with joy. It has to be with equanimity. No? So these are the ways in which one celebrates life with others. So this is like the brief way in which I kind of try to heal my failings which the generational poverty created in me. And I have had a fair amount of success. Now, coming back to the end, like my cousin has just died, and after a few months, I plan to go to his son. And I carry the ACA message to him. He can also heal. He can also have a better life. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, Vijay, for sharing that with us.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Vijay.
Vijay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on, I would like to invite Vaishnavi to share. Vaishnavi, you're on for 10 minutes.
Hi, thank you, Shangri-La. Just want to check if I'm audible.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Vaishnavi. I'm an adult child in recovery, and I would like to say recovering well. I was really excited when I got to hear that I'm going to speak on this topic because, oh my God, so much anxiety it causes in me even today. And I have been in the program for straight like 8 or 10 years, I think. 8 years for sure. I think what I want to talk about, first of all, is like behavioral poverty. Like the kind of poverty I have experienced in my childhood is more behavioral poverty driven from like financial insecurity of my parents and their financial unmanageability, and how it also became like a generational behavioral poverty, and it shows up in my anxieties in current days. So I was raised by an extremely abusive alcoholic who is very financially insecure. By profession, he's a driver, and has a lot of, so to say, financial possessions, like a lot of property. But he's so insecure about using any of them that all those properties have just been lying like that for years. And we've been living, or for the longest of time that I lived with my family, we've been living in this 40 square feet house, some 7 of us. At times we also had 2 dogs. So it was like, if you had to sleep on the bed, you had to put all the things on the sofa. If you had to sit on the sofa, you had to put all the things on the bed. And not to deny my parents and my family is also of a hoarder. So the behavioral poverty, I think a lot of it comes from like my dad's financial insecurity with how he has all these things, but he never put them to use. And so often now, me and my sister, we talk about this and we say, if he had put even 2 of those, say like 1 land or 1 house to the use, we would have a better standard of living. Instead, we were living in plain squalor. My dad would not contribute anything financially to the house. He would spend all the money on alcohol. On the other hand, my mom had contrastingly like a very secure government job, and she would spend all the money on everything, like all the expenses, all the basic expenses. So it was it was also complex to be raised in a space like that, because in my head I know we are sorted, but in reality we were not. So many times our fees would not get paid because of my mom's, I think, I don't know, stubbornness. We always got like the best education. I went to a great school, good college, and I was always around these people who were chauffeur driven, had like a lot of money to show, all these kids who were like always having like these flashy materialistic things. But that was not at all that bothered me. The fact that bothered me was I could never have a friend home, because the my dad was lying drunk on a pile of clothes, or the house was so stinky with the dog's piss and all of that. uh, because of that very tight environment, I have been bitten by my own dogs like probably 6 or 7 times, 17 times, sorry, in my life. And I'm an animal lover and I have PTSD because of all those dog bites. So it's kind of ironical. Also, the big comparison and the big grief and loss I've experienced because of this is I was around all these friends and peers who were from very well-to-do families. They had also been showcasing that through, going to expensive places, spending money, having money to spend on snacks during recesses. Even the snacks they brought were like more expensive than what I could bring, you know. And one big comparison that arose from that was I never had a space of my own, let alone a bedroom. I never had a bed of my own. We were sharing, me, my mom, and my sister were sharing like a 6 foot by 4 bed, which is like someone had to lay on their side for two people, or two people had to lay on their sides for one to lay on their back. So it was like that. And there were so many occasions that it was very dangerous also to live in this environment, like I mentioned about the dogs. Um, but even in that kind of space, I think one could live if it was if I was made to feel that I was still safe and welcome there. But my dad also contributed to a lot of financial abuse by constantly telling us that it was not our house. He kicked us out of the house a lot of times. He was sexually abusive towards me. So when I would put a stop to that advancements, he had thrown me out. He would throw me out of the house. It's happened a few times. So much so that what I learned from all of this was I can't raise my voice. I can't ask for what I need. And if I do, I am vulnerable to be thrown out. And all of this, everything that I was raised with kind of trickled down into all the jobs that I went to, because I was constantly scared of being fired. If I did get laid off because of whatever economic reasons, COVID, whatever, I would get so anxious and compulsive that I would have panic attacks for days. It would become about me and my ability than it was about the reality of that particular job. Uh, it shows up in my life even today. Like, as I said, I've been in the program for 8 years. I've learned, grieved, and reparented myself a lot, loved myself. I still love myself so much every day. And yet I have a hard time not feel compulsive in job applications, not feel anxious, not feel like I need to, I'm safe, you know. It's very difficult, even as a 29-year-old right now, to feel that I don't have to worry about so many things. But I got an answer to this particular conundrum recently when I was attending a grief and loss meeting, and they were talking about something about, we read something on this lines in the passage that I am an adult who's trying to thrive with the soul and ghost of an inner child that's still surviving and still scared. And that's what shows up so much in my life every day, where like currently I'm in a very good space. I have some safety net with which I can afford myself 6 months to just sit in a space and create. I'm a writer and I have a lot of stories, golden stories to tell, I believe. But still, because of my upbringing, that fear, that comparison with someone else, with my peers, with my friends, having a space of my own. Oh, that person is buying their mother a house. Oh, that cousin bought their mother a gold necklace. All those comparisons, uh, constantly compulsively applying for jobs just to feel that sense of safety, feeling financial deprivation, the same kind I saw my dad experience and run through, and having a hard time getting by. But here's like the golden success I want to share with you guys. Earlier, I would have this chronic anxiety 24/7. Now, it's once a week. It's like maybe maximum 2 days a week when I'm feeling the same level of chronic anxiety. And all thanks to my own, I want to feel so much gratitude towards myself, first of all, to taking this step into being in this program, and for all the fellow travelers who've been a part of my journey, the great step work I've been able to do, my therapy. I've been in therapy for 4 years, addressing my CPDSD, my BPD, a big buffet of things that's there. And the best thing is I have tools now to address this financial insecurity and my own behavioral poverty. One of the most important tools of that is not only give myself positive affirmation in words, but also in actions. And how I do it is not just tell myself, hey, love, you are safe. Hey, you're protected. We are sorted. But instead, showing myself that as well, by buying myself something nice, by pampering myself with like a movie date or something, by buying myself books I love. And it's done wonders, absolutely. I also make promises to myself, the kind that I do keep and continue keeping, because that reminds my inner child that one, I'm worthy, two, I can afford it, you know. I do frequent reparenting check-ins. I will quickly wrap up. I know last 3 seconds. I have been constantly taking financial responsibility for myself. Like right now, 6 months I have safety net, and after that I'll have to go to a job. And one thing is loving my true self and acknowledging that I'm not someone who would stick around in a job. I will go to a job, make some money, come back to nature and dance in forests. So allowing myself all of that. And the most important tool is sharing it with all you guys here. So thanks a lot for listening to me. I have a lot of love for this space. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Vaishnavi.
you so much for sharing that with us, Vaishnavi.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You
Vaishnavi.
were heard. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to now invite Raksha. Raksha is the last speaker in this segment. After that, we'll take about 10 to 12 minutes to talk about ACA India and literature. Raksha, you're on.
10 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Shangri-La, for your service. And thank you, everyone, for joining today and making this day a memorable one. So yes, my name is Raksha, grateful member of ACA, and it's been more than a year. I'm following this fellowship, and I am recovering day by day and putting in efforts. And sometimes I'm really not putting any efforts, because I truly believe that then, higher power is going to take care of that particular day. So yes, when I heard about this topic for the first time, poverty, and I was like, no, why do I have to share on this particular topic? Denial. That was the complete denial I had. And I have, colored it with many terms like, minimalistic approach, simple life, simplicity, and stuff like that. So if I talk about this particular topic, the kind of poverty I have experienced throughout my life was big time situational poverty. My father was alcoholic, and my mother was also from a dysfunctional family, and you know that it's a deadly combination when two dysfunctional people come together and raise children. So yes, a lot of things happened in my childhood, including sexual abuse, and a lot of things. And when I was recalling incidents, one major incident came into my mind, and that was I don't know how many years ago, but we were staying in a rented place, and my father used to earn sufficient amount of money, but because of the unmanageability, big time unmanageability, we would lack a lot of things, will not have, proper, what should I say, management in our homes. We will fall short of, food, we will fall short of clothes and lot many things. And I still remember that, one fine day I was standing along with my mother and my elder siblings, and I could not understand that day what is happening exactly. And we were thrown out of that particular home. Why? Because the rent was not being paid for many months on time. And it was not the case that my father could not afford or my mother could not afford. The only reason was unmanageability, dysfunctionality. So these are very tough things to obviously recall and remember. And apart from this, if I talk about poverty, I did consider my parents that they were also raised, they were also non-treated ACAs. So they would have definitely tried their level best, but I definitely feel poor when it comes to, care, when it comes to affection, when it comes to exposure, when it comes to real parenting, as in, gentle parenting thing. So that is what I'm learning in ACA program. I still remember that, I have 5 elder brothers, and, I still remember that I would beg my, there were maids coming to our home. They used to come to our homes. So I would beg them for a, small round of bicycle that, I just want to just get onto your bicycle and just go for a quick round. So these were the things which really created a lot of, they affected me big time, I would say. And till date, what happens is I'm not comfortable with money that much. I'm learning to, although. So the moment I will receive money from any source, I'll feel anxious. I'll not be comfortable. On the other hand, when people have money in abundance, they will be comfortable. But when it comes to me, I don't feel comfortable at all. I want to spend it there and then only. I want to just pay off all the bills. I just want to do it right away. And if I talk about this occasion, which I had shared in the fellowship room also, we had this very big festival, huge festival, Diwali. And it's a lot of people suggest and they advise that, one should not spend on the occasion of Diwali and this and that. But I just could not stop myself. I paid all the bills. I feel relaxed when there is absolutely no money. Or I can now relate it to the addiction to excitement. Okay, how will I manage now? How many days are left in the month? Oh, yes, now it's the time for crisis. Because I could not see any kind of, investments going on or policies, of those sorts, or any management related to money. I did not experience in my home. So I had to learn hard, it was very hard for me to learn how to manage money. Until date, I'm learning that. There are numerous examples wherein, my father was serving Indian police, and I would stand and see that, a lot of officers who were below his rank, their children, they would go in chauffeur-driven cars, and we would be just standing here and there, and, we would be spending our days and nights on terrace. And of course, my studies got affected, my career got affected. I had limited choice when it comes to career. I had to start earning, very at a very early age. So that was not because, we had no money. It was because of the unmanageability and the dysfunctionality of what we had at our homes. And if I, look at this topic very closely, now I'm able to understand a lot of things. I used to complain that why my mother, keeps on buying clothes every now and then. My wardrobe is flooded with a lot of clothes. And she keeps on sending clothes to us, and I just don't get it. Why is she doing that? So maybe she's trying to, make what we call in programs language, the living amend sort of a thing. Because when I was young, I still remember I had to wear my cousin's clothes. For what reason, I could not understand. And obviously that brought low self-esteem to me. I was not confident enough. I was really not confident. So a lot of things happened, and that had no connection to money. It was just, if I put it in simple words, it has everything to do with dysfunctionality and alcoholism. And I would just wrap up. I'll say a few more things. Yes, when it comes to safety and security, I was the only girl child in the family. I was the youngest one, and I was big time unsafe. I did not have this feeling of safety at all. And at the age of 40, I have to convince myself that you're safe. Nobody is going to ruin your atmosphere, or nobody is going to ruin your celebration or festival. That is the reason why I could celebrate that particular festival, what we call Diwali. So it's a continuous fight, which I do, with myself, with my dysfunctional family, and I have to consider their, upbringing also. I have to take care of many things, in one go. And yeah, I believe I had written a few more points, but I guess that's all from my side for this particular session. And I now really, really strongly believe, yesterday only when I was, counting my sessions, I'm a freelancer, so I was just counting on my sessions, which I'm going to have in this very month, November. So I got scared big time that, oh my God, this month, my earnings would be half. I mean, it would be just the half what I on an average, earn. And for few seconds, for few moments, I was really scared. I was anxious, but then this thing came up in my mind that, we will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. I don't know from which corner it just clicked here. And I'm so thankful. Right things click at right moment. And that is what higher power is all about. And I'm really thankful to each one of you for your service and for the love, for the care. Thank you so much, everyone. I pass. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Raksha.
Thank you, Raksha, for sharing that.
Thank
with
you,
us.
Raksha. You
Thank you, Raksha.
Thank you, Raksha.
Thank you, Raksha, for
you.
sharing.
So we have a couple of questions in the chat box which have come in privately. I will put them to the sharers in a moment. We'll just take 10 minutes to talk about how literature has helped us. So the fellowship got together and created something called the International Literature Scholarship Fund. And South Africa and India were the first two recipients of this particular scholarship. And 3 years back, when we started out, with formation of the intergroup, and we said, okay, we have enough service and recovery between us to further this cause. We had no books in India. Books had to be imported from the US, and they were extremely, extremely expensive. And so the entire fellowship got together, and it provided us with 700 books of different titles. And I just want to talk about how Fifth Tradition really helps, because in spreading that message, we went from 3 meetings a week to 7 meetings today in 3 different languages. That's beautiful, absolutely beautiful growth in our fellowship here in India. And it has also helped us to create a business environment. And that's what I'd like you to, the fellowship, or the business part of the spiritual relationship that we build with each other. And I'd like to invite Vijay back again for 5 minutes to talk about, how service in the literature distribution team has helped him. And he's one of the key persons in making sure that we receive literature orders and send them out in a timely way. And so I'd like to invite Vijay back. Vijay, 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Shangri-La. Tradition 5 reads each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the adult child who still suffers. But what is the content of the message? In Big Red Book, page 609, ACA groups attempt to present a comprehensive and consistent message consisting of 5 basic components. The components are problems, solutions, sponsorship, 12 steps, and 12 traditions. So this is like we have in India, we have meetings, and this message is given in each of the meetings: problem, solution, sponsorship, and 12 steps, 12 traditions. But there is when a person joins the fellowship, he is in a stage where he wants to know whether I identify with this group or not, whether this is going to help me or not. So that person is in two minds whether I should spend my time here. But what happens in a new and a small fellowship, there is a shortage of service volunteers. There are not enough old timers to answer questions and give explanations. So if the person does not receive an explanation, that is, he has not yet bought the books yet, where the explanations are contained, he tends to either recycle or not move beyond the contemplation stage, or simply drops out. So at this stage, the beginner, the somebody who has just come in, is quite price sensitive. They are not yet committed. They want to first see whether this is there for them or not. At this point of time, like the free literature that we have, the trifolds and everything, they give some respite. But unless you have the books in your hand and you actually read them, one will not know whether ACA is for me or not. So that is the stage in which the buying happens. Okay, once the person is committed to recovery, he begins his preparation in earnest. At this point, he realizes ebook does not make the cut. He will say ebooks are designed for skimming, scrolling, and quick searches. On the other hand, physical books are designed for slow processing and deep reading. Since the pages are larger, contain no distracting links, one can concentrate on one thought at a time. Staying with one thought longer allows for better critical analysis and reflection. One can underline important thoughts, jot down reflections in the margin of physical books, and stick sticky notes. Reading and writing are two pillars of any educational program. And in part, ACA is also an educational program. And it has a significant impact on oneself. So reading is like a bibliotherapy. It's like you are receptive and refer to reading, reception, and discussion of the text. Just as like every ESH is like a healing story. And when you react to it, it's like you are doing expressive writing. You are encouraging self-expression, sharing of emotions. No, you are doing it on your own. So it's still a form of development. It's still a form of allowing your inner child full play. Visual spatial memory is better with physical books because one can remember lines, quotes, or thought based on where those words were on a page. As a result, retention and recall is better. Physical books have a feel to them. They have a texture, they have thickness, they have weight, which is important if you're a tactile person like me. Many enjoy the smell of a physical book. So the emotional connect to a physical book is stronger compared to an e-book. E-books are for skimming, scrolling, or a quick search. But if you really want to sink your teeth into a subject, you need a physical book. Physical books are also easier on the eye. They don't trigger insomnia like an e-book could. So even if when I already had an e-book, I still ordered the whole set of physical books for the same title. So it's like I also wondered how these texts act. What are the role of the texts? One is like I feel that the book part, it is more about intrapersonal healing. Like it's about becoming your own loving parent. And the meetings themselves, the sponsor, it's more about interpersonal recovery. So it's like ACA is a complete package. You have you work on cognitive and effective recovery on your own, becoming your own loving parent, and you also you interact with others in the meetings, in service, by opening up to a sponsor or reaching out. So these are all ways of healing the interpersonal deficiencies. And in my case, I have more of these interpersonal deficiencies. I have less of the cognitive and affective parts left, but the interpersonal recovery part, I still am working on. So I think my 5 minutes are up. So thank you for allowing me to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay, for sharing
Thank you.
that.
That was really useful.
Thank you, Vijay. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
sharing.
Thank you,
Vijay.
So another important part of the literature distribution process is the actual person who ships it out, who stores it and ships it out. And the service that the literature team provides is often it's under people would not realize that, but yeah. So to talk about how service affects recovery for 5 minutes, may I request Subhash?
Thank you, Shangri-La. And my name is Subhash. I'm a adult child. And I am really grateful to ACA choose me as part of service, because service is one of the thing I can say is my, let's call in three part: the recovery, unity, and service. Because of service, I involve in unity also. In fact, मेरे जितने भी circle हैं वो because of service हैं. मैं उन लोगों से बातें कर सकता हूँ anytime. And I am just now in service distribution literature. I got a chance to store literature in my home, and this is also a miracle. I was saying, when I was kid, I don't have to stay मतलब home. We are shifting kabhi yahan, kabhi wahan. Now I have home, and I stored literature also. This is because of this service, of course. And of course, service, because literature ki value I know, because the tradition 5 is saying that carry the message to still suffering. And the best way to suffer, to carry the message is through literature. Because literature, when I read that book, when the ACA book in my hand, I know when we are planning to receive 20 some BRB in my hometown, my Noida city. So me and my one fellow traveler, we go together to this press, Thompson's Press, and when that person hand over the BRB in India, that time the feeling was, I can't tell you, the amazing feeling. Because we saw the BRB, one of my member, when we are doing a physical meeting, he carried the one BRB. Then we saw, wish I can also have this book, but it's too costly. I also want. When that time I touch this BRB, I feel so connected. And the important is because that time literature was not there. Too much literature was not there. Somehow we managed किसी तरह किसी तरीके से, but literature was not there. The importance of literatures क्या होती है? I know when I received this book and we are starting that meeting online, that time the problem is this, the outreach is also very less. Even till today in our fellowship, outreach is very less. And of course, when I am going in some anxiety, I receive some call and somebody saying something like this. I always say, why don't you read Loving Parents may say this chapter? Why don't you read this book may say this chapter? Why don't you read this 12 and 12? Say, why don't you read? Because now we have this, and God have given me opportunity to distribute also. And the recovery ke liye, I personally feel the one way is, of course, pray, doing a step, but to understanding a step is where, because the verbal is one part, and when I am reading and when my fellow traveler is sharing same thing, and I have identified that three things are going together, then because as a adult child, I don't have trust too much. But when I read, my fellow traveler is saying same thing, and I am feeling also same thing. Then I start trusting. Okay, this verse is right, and this is I can approve. Yes, this has happened with me also. Services, of course, I started one more. I like to share. 2 year, 3 year before, I was in other fellowship convention. I received a call from one member. Is there any Hindi ACA meeting in India? I said no. And we are 3, 4 ACA members that in this convention, in other fellowship convention. So I was discussing with one member, okay, why don't we start a Hindi ACA meeting in India? We have lots of people, they don't understand English. They want a Hindi meeting. And I suddenly thought came in my mind, and I discussed with fellow traveler. He connected me through the intergroup in India. I discussed with the intergroup, and they started, why don't you start a Hindi meeting? Now, 2.5 years, I think Hindi meeting ko ho gaye, and member are coming, they are sharing. And right now also I can say that the importance of service may, we know this meeting is sharing based meeting. And as a ACA, it's very difficult to share my inner child feelings. I can share when I read, but without reading, it's very difficult to share in in group. That's why we are facing these issues. Okay, there is no Hindi literature, we can't read anything. So we translate something and we share, okay, this meaning is this meaning is this. We are working on this like this. But I am really, really grateful that I got an opportunity for literature committee ki taraf se I am distributing this books, and I am really, really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhash.
Thank you, Subhash.
Thank you, Subhash.
Thank you.
Thank
Chandrila, you're
you.
muted.
Chandrila, you're muted.
Thank you. I just said a whole lot of thank yous, which were not heard except by the Cosmos. So here's thanking all the presenters today who came and shared their thoughts, experience, strength, and hope with us today. And there is a question in the chat box. This goes out to Vaishnavi, if you would like to answer. Vaishnavi, the question is, could you talk a little bit more about behavioral poverty that you mentioned in your sharing, if that's the question I have. I hope it's not crosstalk, but that's the query about behavioral poverty.
Yeah, thanks a lot. No, it's not crosstalk. I think I just coined this term before I entered the meeting, and I might be someone who just coined it. I feel behavioral poverty is something to do with how my emotional and mental makeup makes me act out in irresponsible ways towards myself or family, which can include financial deprivation. Like I shared an example in my sharing that my dad has a lot of possessions, like material possessions that he could use to good use, so he could afford us a good standard of living. Instead, because of his own financial unmanageability and insecurity, those properties are just lying like that. He's paying taxes on them, but he's not making use of them, say to rent it out and make money from them so we can have a better standard of living. And so is the case with me. I have inherited that in a way that even if I promise myself, hey, I have 30K allowance for this month, which will go for my food, accommodation, some fun money and all of that. Towards the end of the month, I'm usually left with like even 10 or 15K, and I would deprive myself for buying myself something nice, you know. So that, in my opinion, and is why I came up with the term behavioral poverty. I hope I answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vaishnavi. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes to go before, we have about 6 minutes to go before we close the session. I will quickly run through the slides, and then during the break time, if there's anybody who wants to share or who wants to talk about their own experience, you're most welcome to. Just a moment, please.
Yeah, I have a question. Is it okay for me to ask the question to the?
Let me just close the meeting, because we will then not have enough time for the readings during the session. Please bear with me while I do that.
Sure.
Okay, so I have to locate the PowerPoint presentation unless somebody has, and they can share the PowerPoint presentation with the closing slide. Pooja, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you. This was a question on realization that only higher power can take away the dysfunction and a complex trauma away. There's a question to Raksha's sharing, but open if anyone else, any other speaker is willing to answer. Thank you.
Hi, Raksha again, grateful member of ACA. What I had shared in the sharing was related to, it was specifically related to my last night's confusion about, this month's unmanageability, which I might face because of lesser number of, assignments or so-called sessions, which I'm going to have for this month. But apart from this, and I've always experienced this big time that, whenever I am in crisis or whenever I have no clue what to do, how to manage, how to, go about things, out of the box or out of the blue, something would click in my mind, and then I take it as a, guidance from my higher power. So that was the thing. And apart from that, I am working, I won't say very hard, but yes, I'm trying to work on ACA program, and especially I'm taking steps. And because of steps, literature, my co-traveler, I'm able to understand even, minute details of my family, their mannerism, their behavior, what did they do 10 years back, why did they would have done that, why would have they done those kind of things. So I'm able to understand each and everything about my family. So that is how I'm trying to apply and, what we call putting things into action. So I'm confidently, fearlessly putting those things, in my daily life things, and I'm getting the results. So a lot of things will be required, but above all, for me, it's higher power, obviously. Thank you.
Thank you, Raksha, for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so just moving on to very important aspects of our fellowship. I hope these slides are visible. None of this program today would have been possible without volunteers who have worked diligently over the last few months to put it all together. And so doing service in ACA is a great way to strengthen your own program. You can help carry the message and make a difference in another ACA member's life by giving service. This ACA World Convention is made possible through the dedication and energy of your fellow ACA members giving service from a place of love. If you feel called to service or called to volunteer for service, please click in the link which I will post in the chat box in a few minutes. And follow the prompts. When you click the link, you will see a form. Please just follow the prompts till you completed and submitted. This will help to direct you to a committee which best matches your areas of interest. 7th tradition states that every ACA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. If you haven't done so yet, we ask that you consider making a 7th tradition contribution by clicking on the link in the chat box. You can now donate in your local currency in a variety of ways, such as credit card, PayPal, Venmo, Google, Apple Pay, etc. We thank you for your contribution. Because we've just run out of time, I will straight away go to the ACA Serenity Prayer for closing. Please join me by unmuting your mics and saying the prayer in a language of your choice, in the form of your choice. Higher power.
Higher power.
Grant us serenity.
Accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the one I can, the wisdom to know
that one is me.